The shadows lengthen, a raven's cry echoes in the night. A solitary figure hunches over a desk, pen scratching frantically on paper. This is Edgar Allan Poe, and he's about to change the face of literature forever. Welcome to a journey through the dark and brilliant mind that birthed the modern detective story. Today, we're unraveling the mystery of how Poe's works became the blueprint for countless whodunits and thrillers. So, grab your magnifying glass and put on your deerstalker hat. We're about to crack the case of Poe's lasting influence on mystery literature. Let's start at the beginning in the early 19th century. Mystery stories existed, but they were often supernatural tales or romantic adventures. Enter Edgar Allan Poe, a struggling writer with a penchant for the macabre. In 1841, Poe publishes The Murders in the Rue Morgue in Graham's magazine. This story introduces Auguste Dupin, a Parisian amateur detective. Dupin uses logical deduction to solve a baffling double murder. This marks the birth of the detective story as we know it today. But what made Poe's approach so revolutionary? First, let's look at his protagonist, Dupin. Dupin is not a police officer or a professional investigator. He's an eccentric genius who solves crimes for the intellectual challenge. Sound familiar? That's because characters like Sherlock Holmes and Hercule Poirot follow this mold. Poe also introduced the concept of the armchair detective. Dupin often solves crimes without leaving his apartment, using only his intellect. This technique would be adopted by many future mystery writers. Another Poe innovation was the locked room mystery. In The Murders in the Rue Morgue, the victims are found in a room locked from the inside. This seemingly impossible scenario became a staple of mystery fiction. Poe didn't stop with Rue Morgue. He followed up with The Mystery of Marie Roget in 1842. This story was based on a real unsolved murder, blending fact and fiction. It's considered one of the first true crime stories in literature. In 1844, Poe published The Purloined Letter. This story introduced the concept of hiding something in plain sight. It also explored the battle of wits between criminal and detective. These elements would become central to many future mystery stories. But Poe's influence extends beyond just the detective story. His tale, The Gold Bug, is considered an early example of the treasure hunt narrative. This story features cryptography as a key plot element, another Poe innovation. Poe's writing style also set the tone for future mystery writers. He used first-person narration to create suspense and uncertainty. His stories often had unreliable narrators, adding another layer of mystery. Let's look at some specific techniques Poe used that are now standard in mystery writing. The red herring. Poe would introduce false clues to mislead the reader. The twist ending. Many of his stories end with a surprising revelation. The psychological element. Poe delved into the minds of both criminals and detectives. Poe's influence quickly spread beyond America. In France, writer Émile Gaboriau was inspired to create his own detective, Monsieur Lecoq. Across the channel, a young Arthur Conan Doyle was taking notes. Doyle would later credit Poe as a major influence on his Sherlock Holmes stories. But Poe's impact wasn't limited to the 19th century. His DNA can be found in countless modern mystery novels and crime shows. The eccentric detective? That's pure Poe. The locked room mystery? Poe started it. The battle of wits between detective and criminal? Poe again. Even in the 21st century, Poe's influence persists. Many modern thriller writers cite him as an inspiration. His techniques are still taught in creative writing classes, and his stories continue to be adapted for film and television. But why did Poe's approach resonate so strongly? Perhaps it's because he tapped into something fundamental in human nature. We all love a puzzle, a challenge to our intellect. Poe's stories give us that challenge, while also exploring the darker side of humanity. It's worth noting that Poe's life was as mysterious as his stories. He died under mysterious circumstances at the age of 40. Even his death became fodder for speculation and mystery. So, the next time you pick up a mystery novel or watch a detective show, remember Edgar Allan Poe. Remember the struggling writer who changed literature forever. Remember the man who taught us that the greatest mysteries can be solved with logic and reason. As we close the book on Poe's influence, we're left with a mystery of our own. How did one man's work echo through centuries, shaping an entire genre? Perhaps that's a mystery best left unsolved, a tribute to the enduring power of Poe's imagination. If you enjoyed this dive into literary history, don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, in the words of Poe himself, to observe attentively is to remember distinctly. Until next time, keep searching for clues in the pages of your favorite books.